بحول الله يا رب العالمين. نتمنى جدا انكم تستفيدوا من ورشه العمل هذه بحول الله يا رب العالمين. واذا يكون عندكم اي اسئله بامكانكم تتفضلوا السؤال في الشات او في نهايه المحاضره، انا راح اخذ الاسئله منكم ان شاء الله. دكتور باسم بامكانك تتفضل.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Awan, for your nice introduction. And again, welcome to Academic Writing Center. This is our first workshop, inshallah, in this series in fall 2021. So today's presentation is going to be about, inshallah, using Corpus Linguistics to improve academic writing skills. Sorry. Okay. All right. So in this presentation, I'm going to talk about general introduction about corpus linguistic, then the definition of corpus linguistic and why corpus linguistic is important, following by types of corpora, tools for corpus linguistics, stages of building written or spoken corpus, basic, advanced corpus linguistic techniques, and different ways of using corpus linguistics. Okay, look at this book. Do you know this book? Have you used this book before? Have you heard about it? Let me see a chat here. Okay. No, yes. Okay, good. Sure. All right, I used this dictionary book only. Okay, so yeah, thank you. This is a dictionary, actually. Very well-known dictionary, Longman Grammar and spoken and written English. So what you see here is a result or a product of a huge or large-scale corpus-based analysis conducted by 4 scholars, Piper, Johansson, Leach, Conrad, and Fingen. So they compiled all of the data based on the corpus-based analysis. So this book, I know this dictionary has, I guess, millions of words. So what we can tell from this is that academic corpora are used to inform our understanding of academic discourse from lexical, word by word, grammatical, phraseological, and genre perspectives. We'll touch on each one of these features, inshallah, throughout our presentation. Okay, so the question here is, what is a corpus? The word corpus by itself. So can anyone, what is the definition that you have? Text, okay. A collection of text. Excellent, good. Okay, so yes, excellent. Thank you, Rocket. Data used, collection of what people use. Excellent. Let me move this chat. Okay. A corpus is a collection of sample text written or spoken in machine readable form, which may be annotated with various forms of linguistic information. So this is a definition by McInerney, one of the leading, and Chow and Tone, one of the leading corpus. And moving to corpus linguistic now. What is a corpus linguistic, or what is corpus linguistics? Word that can I use in the writing? Okay. Is it just a word or something else? Or a methodology using corpora for linguistic inquiry, specific text? Yes. Okay, so this is the first definition by leading scholars, Biber, Conrad, and Ribben. An empirical methodology that employs a large systematically, this is very important word, systematically organized body of natural text, which is basically the corpus here, to analyze actual patterns of language use. There is another simplified definition here, which is basically the study of language through computational analysis of large collections of written text and recordings. So what we can tell here is that we need to have a computer, a software, a tool, or a website that can help us doing the analysis or corpus analysis. So questions, someone might ask, okay, so what, corpus linguistics? So if you have questions about how to do this and that, corpus linguistics can answer these questions. Broadly speaking here, corpus linguistics looks to see what patterns are associated with lexical and grammatical features. So this is generally speaking. When it comes to questions, I'm sure everybody here has some questions. Okay, so I have this in my mind. I want to do this and that. So among the tens of questions that the corpus linguistic can do or can answer, here are a couple questions. What are the most frequent words and phrases in English? I know some of you may or might or think of this question. What are the differences between spoken and written English? And there are many articles, books, and other published materials about this question. What tenses do people use most frequently? For example, literature review or in introduction. This corpus linguistic can answer this question. What preposition follow particular verbs? As you know, English ESL students or EFL students and writers as well have this kind of issues with prepositions and how to use prepositions. How do people use words like can, may, might, or this tense? I'm going to talk about this later on, inshallah. Which words are used in more formal situation or in informal situation? How often do people use idiomatic expressions? How many words must learner know to participate in everyday conversation? Oh, how many different words do native speakers usually or generally use in conversation? And there are many other questions. If you are, for example, a sociolinguist or coming from sociolinguistic background, here you can use corpus linguistics to investigate the dialects and the varieties of language, varieties of dialects, and English, for example, in English or Saudi or Arabic or whatever language you are investigating. These are the questions, and there are also many more questions. Now, moving to types of corpora. Actually, generally speaking, there are two types, general corpora and specialized corpora. General corpora here includes text or corpora from different fields, for example, fiction, academic, non-academic news. So example of general corpora, British National Corpus, British National Corpus, or COCA, Corpus of Contemporary American English. Okay, sure. And specialized corpora, this is what I like here, specialized corpora. For example, genre specific, or what we call it language for specific purposes, LSP, or English for academic purposes. Varieties, as I mentioned earlier, varieties, dialect, society, for example, or social, historical. One of the most common corpus is this one, International Corpus of English. The third one here, third example of specialized corpora, learner language or learner corpora. For example, English as lingua franca. But here I would like to differentiate, and also there is another type here, which is multilingual corpora. For example, Arabic and English. For example, if you have an abstract in English and the translation of this abstract, we call it multilingual or parallel corpora. Learner corpora. This is as teachers and learners as well can use learner corpora in teaching or in learning how to write, or generally in writing or academic writing. The most common learner corpora I personally use is the International Corpus of Learner English, IC. I don't know if I pronounce it right or not. And the Cambridge Learner Corpus, CLC. And also there is a pedagogic corpus, which is basically the textbooks, sometimes dictionary, sometimes we can call them pedagogic pedagogic corpus or pedagogic corpora. So these are generally speaking about types. Now we know types, we know different types of corpora. Moving to the next one here, what are the most widely used corpora here? You see, these are the most common corpora, or people or researchers use, and even teachers in giving, for example, workshops or teaching by using corpora or Corpus Linguistics. COCA, Corpus of Contemporary American English, British National Corpus, BNC, British Academic and English Corpus, BOWI, International Corpus of Learner English, and you see here down there, Michigan Corpus of Upper Level Student Papers. So this is good for teachers who teach writing, whether general or academic writing, especially academic writings for graduate students. So this corpus is really good, and I encourage and I recommend this for when it comes to teaching graduate students. Here you see, okay, you see here different corpora. You see iWeb, the first one. iWeb here has 14 billion words from 6 countries. The genre of this is web. And if you look at the genre here, you see news, you see Wikipedia, you see TV shows. For example, people or students who are from journalism and communication department, they can use the movie corpus or the corpus of American soap operas to analyze, for example, if they have a project or a project how to analyze the movie script, for example, or soaps, they can use this or these two corpora. COCA, as I mentioned, it has different genres. News, for example, here, if you see coronavirus corpus, this is a new corpus. Coronavirus corpus, you see this one has 1 billion words. Only from January 2020 until yesterday, it has 1 more than 1 billion words. So you can use this corpora to search for like any features related to coronavirus or writing style. Global web-based English. Again, news on the web. I like this corpus because for those who want to analyze speeches, for example, Obama, Trump, and other speeches, so they can use this, or they can, for example, if they want to analyze the news, for example, they can use this corpus because this corpus has more than 13 billion words from 20 countries. So now we know the corpora here, different types of the corpora and most widely used corpora. Moving to stages, I'm not going to talk about them because the time and each one of these stages, yes, thank you, Majid. Stages of building, and yeah, let me go back here. Just if you want to know more about different corpora, go to this website. Thank you, Majid. English-corpora.org. Stages for building spoken corpus. This is the first stage, create a design rationale. So why you want to design a corpus? What are the aims or objectives of design a corpus? You need to list all, how many words, how many text, how many recordings, for example, here, the length, the time. So every, this is the first, this stage, stage number one is very important. After that, you need to record data and transcribe them. After that, you need to save all the data, transcribe data into text files with like unique name, because when you analyze them, you need to refer back to the title or the name of the text file. Then you will have your database, and you can go back and check your transcription whether if there are any errors or mistakes there. In corpus, the same, but here the same, procedures apply here. Input text, then you create your database, text. Here, I'm talking about creating or building a corpus because you can use these corpora by yourself by using different tools. These are the tools here. AntLab, the most common ones are AntLab, Lexitutor, and BNC as well. All of them are very common and popular tools. I personally use the first five tools in my analysis and in my work. So the first one is AntLab. AntLab has many tools. One of them is AntConc. Lexitutor is very good for those who teach academic writing. Then MI Sub, Michigan Corpus, and Skill. If you want to know more, go to this website here. Go to this website here, corpus-analysis.com. This website has more than 250 tools, corpus linguistic tools. Go there, and the good thing about this website is when you go there, they have a list of tools in the middle, like they have a description of each tool, and then a link whether some tools are free and other tools are paid. So you gotta check out this website. It has more than that of the tools that are presented here. Toolbox, Lancaster Toolbox. This is very powerful tool, and Toolbox here has many tools, powerful tools that you can use in your analysis. All right, so in the presentation, I'm going to talk about later on about these three tools: Lexitutor, BNC and COCA both have similar platforms, similar interface, and also AntConc. So the first two at the top here, LexTutor and BNC COCA, both already have database there, text and all the information. But when it comes to AntConc, here, AntConc, no, you need to upload your data. For example, if you build, for example, if you choose 100,000 words here and you want to investigate, you can use AntConc, but you cannot use LexTutor to analyze your own corpus or your own corpus. All right, techniques. Basic, I tried to differentiate between basic corpus techniques and advanced corpus techniques. So basic, one of them is concordancing, basically using corpus software to find every occurrence of particular phrase or particular word. Word frequency counts or word list, how many words, I mean the frequency of each word or phrase, keyword analysis, or what we call it keyword, keyword in context, and cluster analysis, the analysis of how language systematically clusters into combination of words and phrases or chunks. Sometimes we call it fermionic language, sometimes we call them lexical bundles, but chunk here is another common word. Advanced corpus linguistic techniques, regular expression. This is again a very powerful means of specifying complex search terms for concordances or computer programs for language processing. For example, here, if you add T capital and T small between square brackets, this the software will search for either T capital or words with T capital and T small. For example, this word here, this with capital letter and this with singular with capital and small letter. A to Z, for example, all letter cases. Part of the speech, POS, tagging and annotation. Is common form of linguistic annotation that labels or tags each word of corpus with information. For example, noun, verb, adjective, verb and adjective. Lexigrammatical profiles. Lexigrammatical profiles describes typical context in terms of colloquial, chunks, idioms, and other lexigrammatical features. Okay. corpus اللي هو الكوربس linguistic، مدونات اللغويات الحاسوبية. هذا ممكن أقرب ترجمة لها. Lexical and syntactic complexity, quantitative properties of linguistic structures or systems as reflected by number and ranges of phonemic, lexical, syntactic. This is very advanced, and specifically this is in the field of applied linguistics mostly. I mean this one here, lexical and syntactic complexity. And the last one here is designing and programming natural language programming or tools by using programming languages, for example, Python, Perl, and Java. Okay, different ways of using corpus linguistic in academic writing for teachers, learners, curriculum designers, and many more. Generally speaking, for professionals from teachers to testing specialists, everybody can benefit from Corpus Linguistic, depending on his or her field. Could be medicine, medical English, law English, for example, business, whatever field you are in, you can benefit from Corpus Linguistic. When it comes to studies, okay, let's check. All right. Corpus studies and language teaching. Corpus Linguistic provides basis for deciding which language features and structure are important, provides data about how various features are structured and used, for example, co-occurrences of patterning and frequency of the co-occurrence of patterns, evidence for teachers and materials writers for claims and inclusion. We will touch upon these in a minute. Teachers can share instruction based on corpus-derived information. Also, teachers can make their own inquiries for teaching needs. For example, if your students, for example, have certain difficulties in prepositions, for example, you can just have a mini workshop by using Corpus tools or Corpus Linguistic to teach them how to improve their usage of prepositions. Learners can interact with corporate activities. Again, you can give your students, or students by themselves can practice using Corpus tools in order to just self-learning. We call it self-learning of how to improve their academic writings. Context can provide vocabulary learning priorities for a book. This is really important. We'll talk about it in the next 2 slides from this one. Frequency list can be manipulated by students. For example, there is a list called academic vocabulary list. Yes, academic vocabulary list. This list has around 3,000 words there. So it was developed by Avril Coldhart. So this list has the list has the most common academic word in academic writing. It's based on Corpus. Again, it's based on Corpus based study. Concordance can help students understand the meaning and this usage of word. For example, if you have a word that has different meanings or different synonyms, which synonym or which word comes with or goes with or collocates with other word correctly. Here, influence curriculum designers and teaching materials. Okay, another ways here, observing and using language patterns. You can here, for example, use Corpus Linguistic to get your prepositions right, to improve word choices, help with grammar, clarifying lexicogrammatical patterns, making connections with and between sentences, paraphrase with concordance. I'm not gonna focus on all of them, but I will just choose a couple features that we use in Corpus Linguistic. For example, here, look at this here. We have 2 verbs. Both have similar meaning, to increase and to go up. So which one can be used in academic writing? What do you think? Can we say to go up when we write a research paper or write an essay? Can we use increase the first one? So this is the very basic thing that we can do by using Corpus Linguistics. When we look at the corpus here, we see how many hits? 193. This is just in 5 or 4 million word corpus. So to go up, this is an academic corpus, academic writing corpus. You see, we use to increase here more than to go up. We use to increase more than to go up from the dictionary. If you look here, to increase private sector, to increase food production, here to go up. But when do we use to go up? We use to go up maybe when we speak in spoken English. So if you run a search in BNC or COCA, you will see that to go up is more common or can be used most frequently in spoken language. Get phrases right. Okay, so which form is correct? Okay. The structure of the first chapter is as following, follow, as follows, as follow. When we use corpus here to see which one is follows, look at the corpus here. As follows, and the number of hits here is 375, as follows. I searched the other ones following, as follow, and as following. All of them or most of them are below 10 hits, for example, which means that they are not commonly used. As follows, yes. Look at here, singular or plural, countable or uncountable. You can also check this. Consider this sentence found in students' writing. Can the word literature be used in the plural form? Look at the example here. A few literatures have provided a solution to this problem. Good. Yes, without S. If you look at the hits here, the plural here is just 13 hits. It could be context specific, meaning that it has maybe something else. But generally speaking, if you refer to the word literature here as a literature, for example, review, or literature as a field, so it is plural here. Look at the heads here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 9, 1,239. Yes, sometimes, yeah, it depends on the context. You see here, this is why we choose literature as a singular, not as a plural. You can also use Corpus Linguistics to clarify lexicogrammatical patterns. For example, argue. What comes with the verb argue? How many nouns? What nouns with preposition? And infinitive. We will come back to this. Recommend, for example, recommend what? Recommend that, argue that. That here is with clause here. So you can teach your students, for example, this is for teachers. You can ask your students, okay, go ahead, use, for example, BNC or Bowie, for example, and search for lexicogrammatical patterns that come with argue and recommend. Yes, argue that, argue against, argue about. You see here, argue about, it's preposition. Argue that is clause. Argue against Again, preposition. You see, you can teach using these verbs in by using Corpus Linguistics, any corpus that you would like, whether you build it yourself or you use online corpora. Arguing. Okay. Yeah. Oops. Another way of using corpora is to write for different academic purposes. Writing for different academic purposes. Argumentative writing, for example, and counter-argumentation. Expressions of stance and voice. This is a very important feature that you need to master. Comparing and contrasting, giving reasons, identifying causes and effects. Writing about problems and solutions. You can use Corpus Linguistics to teach or to learn about these features. For example, here, argumentative writing and counter-argumentation. You can use this here, this website called Skill, which is part of the Sketch Engine, Corpus, or it's a website that has different tools, different databases, different corpora. So if you add, for example, evidence here and look for word sketch, this website will show you the word evidence. Here it is a noun. If you'll see here, it is a noun. What comes with this word, for example, suggest, evidence suggests that, evidence supporting that, evidence indicates that. Here, verbs with evidence, evidence presented, provide evidence, found evidence, and the list is long. And you can just click and see different examples. If you click, for example, here, you will see different examples in different contexts. Even here, you see here, this is counter argument. When you read this sentence, one could argue that. This is a counter argument. If you click on, for example, one of these phrases here, you will see the context. You see how the author develops his counter argument or his argumentation. So this is good if you teach argumentative writing or argumentative essays, how to write, for example, argumentative essays. There are many techniques, many activities that you can use, you can apply with your students to improve their writing, argumentative writing. Another example here, expressions of stance and voice. Look at this one here. I would argue. You see how many anthropologists would argue. Why do we use, or why do these authors here in this corpus use would, I would argue with, I would argue with, I would argue that? Why do you think they use would here? This modal verb, would. Personal. If you go down here, we would argue. So it's not personal, it's not the accurate, more polite. Yes, good. More polite. Again, personal. This is what we call a stance. I remember one time my professor told me, please hedge your language, more academic. Okay, hedge your language, meaning that you have to soften your language, make your language soft by using modal verbs, for example, or using hedges, we call it hedges. Soften your language, make your language soft. For example, don't say, I argue that my For example, results are good. Yes, less assertive. The opposite of hedges are boosters. It's in the next slide. Less assertive, yes, showing that your language is soft. You don't need to be assertive. I don't want to say aggressive, but assertive. When you say, I would, my results may contribute to this. My argument could help in this. It's not preferable, especially in academic writing, using boosters or not hedging your language. If you say, for example, my results will contribute to this. This is kind of boosters. If you want to use, yes, if you want to use academically, I would say use hedges. Here you see different examples of hedges. Modal verbs, may, might, can, could. Verbs to appear, to believe, to assume. Show uncertainty. Okay, yeah, it's kind of controversial. Adjectives, possible, probably, likely, most likely, perhaps. The opposite of this is boosters, assertive language, clearly, certainly, relatively, simply, only. For example, let's say my results clearly state that. Okay, this is an assertive language. It's not preferable in academic writing. You know, you need to hedge your language a little bit. I'm not gonna say use uncertainty all the time, but when you claim something, when you argue about something, here you need to hedge your language, soften your language rather than using assertive language by adding boosters. Evaluative language. For example, here, you can use Corpus Linguistics to check for an evaluative language or terms. Look at here. It is, when you search, let me use a pen now. Look at here. We use it is. This is by using Lexicutor website. You see here, it is in academic abstract. It is, then the rest of it. You see here, it is critical, it is desirable, it is important. This is what we call it an evaluative language. How would you know? If you have books to read, that's okay. If you have articles, if you have lists, that's okay. But when you use Corpus Linguistics, you can get as many as you can. For example, let's say we have two groups, a group that uses like their intuition from their minds, and another group that uses Corpus Linguistics. If you ask the same question to both of them, imagine how many words would you get from each group? If you ask the group with intuition, they would say, okay, it is possible, it is preferable, it is reasonable, okay, 3-4 words. But if you ask the group that use Corpus Linguistics, they will tell you many tens or hundreds of words that can be used as here evaluative language. Self-mention. This is a very controversial topic. Self-mention, in short, is using evaluative language is when you evaluate your result, your argument, your claim. When you say it is possible to do that, it is it is difficult to do that, it is possible, preferable. This is what we call it evaluative language. We use this especially when we write argumentative paper. Okay, self-mention here. Look at this study here. We, I, our, us. Highland conducted his colleague conducted this study to see a corpus study to see Which field uses pronouns or a self-mentioned feature? They use we and I in applied linguistics. See how many times? Sociology. But when it comes to, when it comes to we, look at here, we see engineering. Why? Because they have they have projects or papers as a team. But when we look at I here, look at I in applied linguistics, we use I in applied linguistics many times. Sociolinguistic in general speaking, humanities and social science, they use I more frequently. Look at the biology here. Look at engineering. So this is why some professors or some teachers say, okay, don't use I in our field. Why? They read this somewhere else or based on their experience when reading articles, especially professors with long experience of publishing and reading in their fields, they say, okay, don't use I. I is not preferable in our field, for example. This is based on a corpus-based study. Look down here, the use of I and spoken most of the time and spoken English. Look at academic here. It's not that high compared with spoken English or spoken Corpora. What fields that use yeah, the researcher, yes. What fields? Look at the medicine here compared with, for example, sociology or humanities in general. You see here 1,000 frequency here in medicine and 6,000 in humanities and arts, 7,000 here as well. But look at engineering here. They only use, the frequency here is 727, meaning that it's not common to use I in engineering or in, for example, in medicine. There is a new movement. I'm gonna just talk about a little bit. There is a new movement of voice yourself, show yourself, voice yourself. أظهر صوتك بالعربي، يقول لك أظهر صوتك في الكتابات. Voice yourself in your writing. This is a new movement, which is, I don't know, for like in the past 4 or 5 years, this movement has started to talk about, okay, use your I. This is your own work. This is your own, for example, article. You have the right to use personal pronoun just to voice yourself. Okay, writing research papers with the Corpora. For example, in introduction, literature review, writing about methods and methodology, writing about results, discussion, and abstract. Let's say, for example, here, a research gap. You can have, or you can use keywords, for example, research. If you put this term in the tool, Corpus tool, you will end up with this. Little research has. Look at the tense here. You can teach tense as well. Okay. For example, little research. Look at the tense here. Has. Meaning that when you try to identify your research gap, okay, when you try to identify your research gap, you use here or present perfect. You can teach present perfect as well here, how to use present perfect when you identify your research gap. You can also talk about adverbs that come with or before this word here. Surprisingly, little research has been conducted. You see, this is, if you want to add very little research, how little research? There is a little research. These are adverbs that we can use when we try to identify research gap. Here, introducing aims, presenting hypothesis. If you go and use sketch engine or skill, look at the word study here. Studies have shown, conduct a study, if you want to, for example, talk about or you have scholars that you want to introduce them, leading scholars, visiting scholars, invited scholars. Next here, writing about your results. You see again different verbs. Look at here. Results may be useful for society. Results may be useful as a mean. And discussion and conclusion. If you look at here, important, large, testable, possible, these are different adjectives that can we use with the word implications here. Finally, writing abstracts. You can take these verbs that we are mostly used in abstract. You can use these patterns here. And here, I talked about this in another workshop last year when I talked about how to write an abstract. These are moves. There is a tool that's called and move that can help you with this. But mostly you can ask your students, for example, or learners can use Corpus to try to find these moves. For example, if you want to write an abstract, you have first to introduce your topic, for example, in one sentence or maximum 2 sentences. Then tell us the research, the purpose of your research. Then 2 sentences or 3 sentences about your method, then the results, and 1 sentence about your conclusion. If you use Corpus, you can easily read 1 or 2 or 3 abstracts. But when you have, let's say, 1,000 abstracts, you can easily identify how to write, for example, the introduction part in your abstract. You can also know how to present the purpose of your research by using different terms, for example. And yeah, let's now move to the application part. This is an activity that I need you to do, but later on, not now. Okay, so which Cobra is this? You mean this one or something else? Okay, let's now, yes, this one here is from LexiTutor. Yeah, from Lex. The blue one here is from BNC. So let's now move on to the activity part or the application part of this lecture. Questions? You see, this is the ant conch. Can you see it? This is the ant conch. You see different tools here. If you want to do the concordance, if you want to, you see what's going on here, clusters, collocates, word list. Let me see, for example, here. Let me open just a file from my corpus here. Oops. Let's search for example, a word, for example, argue. Oops, right. Okay. So if you add the word here and click start, they will bring a new word or list of words. Yes, this tool is free. This tool is free and Conk is free. You see here, it's searching right now. Look at here, argue about. This is if you build your own corpus. This is if you build your own corpus. You see the word argue here, argue both sides, argue that, you see that, meaning that what? That comes with argue. I'm going to show you now the website. You see argue that. Argue to make school. So this is learner, what we call it a learner corpus. You might see some mistakes. You might find spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes, and other mistakes. You can also look for engrams for words that come together. Collocate as well. If you search, you will see words with collocates. Word list, and you can look for keywords in the list. Okay, this is the Antconk. Let's now go to the website here. This is Sketch Engine. Yes, thank you, Majid. This is the website, franceanthony.net. Yes, you'll see different tools here about Corpus tools. This is paid service. I have a subscription with Sketch Engine, so I can do all of these things: word sketch differences, figure, content. So this is a paid service, but the free service, this is the free service here. Just try it, for example, study. Enter, you'll see different examples. Word sketch, for example, to see verbs with study as subject. If you click here, you'll see examples and similar words, for example, have, indicate, see, and verbs. Yes, if you talk about Antconk, yes, you have to have a corpus. If you don't have a corpus, so then it won't work. You can use these websites here that I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so this is skill. If you go to this website here, Sketch Engine, skill.sketchengine.eu, you will see, and similar words here. Study as a noun, you can change it here. Verb, study, examine, know, learn, discuss. These are different words, but you need to For example, see the context in order to see which word. For example, here, recent studies show workplace coupling. And this one here, the same. Let me move this. Okay, this is the B and C. You can go to the website here, click search, for example, but you need first to log in. You need to have an account, and you can have your free account if you use KAU email. You can search, for example, here, okay, results as a noun. You can also say, okay, I need just a noun. Okay, find matching. Here will ask me about logging in. Okay, I will log in here, log in again. Okay, go back to search. Yeah, for words and phrases. You can use it for words and phrases. Look at here. You see the word in this word results in context. For example, okay, if you want to see it in different and as a chart, you can use, for example, section here, spoken, fiction, academic, non-academic. It's up to you. You need, if you want to choose academic, go ahead, click, find the match, and you'll see different examples in okay, chart here as well. If you choose ignore, see frequency here. Okay, here we this website will ask you if you want to donate something, but if you want to go with premium account, but it's free. Just wait for like a couple seconds, then you will, okay, click continue, and you see here results. Look at this, the word results here. We use results in academic mostly, and you can use phrases as well, 2, 3, 4 word phrase. That's okay. Non-academic, okay, but look at fiction. It's not commonly used, but mostly results as a noun. Results as a noun here. You can also use, you can like search for results with verbs if you want to investigate it. You see here, these results, our result, election result, examination results, for example, here. You see, these are the collocations. Go back here, you see frequency, mostly these results. If we go back here, compare, for example, if you want to compare between a result and another word, for example, you can use this one. Here, if you want to see key word or a word in context, go ahead, click here. You see what comes before results and what comes after results. And you can specify your result whatever you want, how you want it. If you want it as a verb or adverb or whatever you want it. If you want to, for example, add this one here, if you want to add here, it will show you results with S or the family of the word result. You see result, resulting, results. You'll see different, the family of the word. Result, resulting, result, resulted. If you add just an asterisk there,
you will see different. You see results from here, resulting from, you see verb from, not sorry, not the verb, preposition from. It's commonly used with the results in as well, of, and every one of these categories has a context. So then you need to explain which context if of, for example, comes in, which context in comes in, and so forth. Michigan, let's move to this one here. This one is good. Why? Because this one is this one has writing from students, papers from students, and from different fields or disciplines. You can also ask about, okay, you want to know how they write little research, for example. Oops. Then if you want to just focus on native speakers, you can just click here. And if you want to focus on, see how they write argumentative essays, proposals, research, and textual feature here. Okay, this is for research papers, discussion, definitions, literature review. I'll add here, okay, literature review. I'll change it to, for example, research paper, if you want to add. Then if you want to see your field, or you want to just try to compare between different fields, biology, economics, education, English, all of the disciplines and fields are there. This is, as again, student-based. This is the learner corpora. Let's say, for example, little research or few research. Oops. Little research. See if anyone. "16 disciplines." So this website has, or this corpora, you see here, only one in sociology. Little research there is, and let's, for example, search for the word research itself. You see here in the context, nursing, for example, psychology, and you can see here, okay, you can see details about this writing. Discipline in psychology, second year graduate, male, native speaker, types, argumentative essay, discussion of results, section, and other here, psychology, sociology, nursing. This one here is nursing. Yeah, third year graduate, female. And you read and you learn from here. This is good if you want to share or ask your, for example, students, or you as a student want to know how the, for example, here, look at this. This research examines the interaction of race and gender. Okay, this is what? This is the purpose of the study. You can teach this. The modest, for example, energy conversion. This is in mechanical engineering, yes. Research paper, methodology section, and also in discussion section, this word here. And the last one here, yes, I would recommend, I personally use this in my academic writing and in my research, in my teaching, and I learn from this experience. This is the Lex Tutor, and this is the website. Before I go to the Lex Tutor, this is the website that has 250 tools, more than 250 tools. You see here, annotate, for example, the description, category, platform, and pricing. I like this, and it is in my top of the website. It's also in my bookmark or favorite list. You see different many core metrics. This is a powerful tool, and yeah, different descriptions, different uses. This is the website. Here, Lexicutor, for example, if we look at here, you can search for a word or a phrase that you want to see how authors or how students, if you have learner Corpora or Corpus, used. The good thing about this website, this one and this one here, they already have Corpora there. You don't have to upload anything like Antcook. You need just to type, use this website to learn or to teach. For example, research, let's write letter research, for example, here. And you choose the corpus here. You see, there are different corpus, corpora here. Bowie, for example, Bowie has 8 million words. Spoken, if you want to investigate a spoken corpus, for example, or you have a topic in spoken English, for example. Let's say, for example, Bowie written all, letter research. There is no best corpus, Malak. There is no best corpus. Use the corpus that fulfills your needs. That's it. I can't say which one is good, which one is not good. Just click here. You will see letter research here, which fields here in sociology, health, psychology, engineering. You see, these are different fields. Health, that very little research to prove has been published, has been conducted, was done. And you can also, okay, let me move this. Okay, you can also look for, if you want to look for family, start with, I mean the word here. Family means like what I did, result, resulted, results, and resulting. This is if you results, for example. In Bowie dictionary, or sorry, Bowie corpus. Oh. You see here, results, results, results also show the results. You can also add, look for what is in the right here. Here, organize results above also, although go down here, you see what verbs and prepositions, for example. Yeah, Corpora used only to examine words. Left to see Bowie. Yes, thank you, Brother Kamal. Look at here, results, ambiguous result, analysis result. You can also look for, let's say, for example, result show. The result show, and how many hits are there. And yeah, you can add also associated words here. And you can play around with this this tool. All right, so I think we reached to the end of this presentation, and this activity is for you guys. If you would like to apply it, to use it, go ahead, take your time. And thank you all. It's my pleasure. And sorry for keeping you that long. It's almost now 1 hour and 17, yes. And yes, thank you, Brother Kamal. You're welcome. My pleasure. And inshallah, the workshop will be uploaded, inshallah, to our YouTube channel later, inshallah. Yeah, بالنسبة للشهادة, please complete the evaluation form so you will get the certificate, inshallah. Thank you all. Thank you, appreciate it. If you don't have any questions, thank you very much for attending our workshop. And here is the references of that I use here in presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Basim, for such a rich and exciting workshop that actually combined between the theory of corpus as well as some applications that our students can actually use. Now we can open the floor to some questions if you have. We have Abir. She said she asked the question 3 times. What's your question, Abir? If you have a question, you can open the mic or you can write it down if you like. الشهادات هتتبعت على الإيميل بحول الله. صحيح. Do you have any questions that relate to the workshop itself? Can we retrieve long text from Corpora, Dr. Basim?
Yes, we can. We can retrieve it, and yeah, you can upload it then into one of the tools like Hancock to analyze this long text.
Okay, thank you. Optimist has a question outside of the lecture. Please go ahead. المطلوب تاريخ اليوم صحيح. From Optimist asks, do you know about Macro Think Journal of Linguistics?
Do you know about Macro Think Journal?
Is it reliable?
Yeah, what do you mean by a reliable? MacroThink is a publisher. A publisher has different journals, so it has nothing to do with MacroThink itself. So the journal, if you know the journal, if you know any one of the editorial board, here is a trick. You are going to write a paper about X topic. You know, like 10, 15 scholars in your field. Go ahead, if you have X journal in your mind, go to this X journal editorial board and see if the scholars, the 10 scholars or 15 scholars that you know, one of them or some of them are in the editorial board. So go ahead, submit your paper to that journal, meaning that the journal is good journal. It could be top journals. It could be
ISI or Web of Science, the new term Web of Science journals. But publisher, no, I wouldn't say publisher is good or not. MacroThink is a publisher, ScienDirect is a publisher, Routledge, and all of them have journals.
Thank you, Dr. Basim. We have Raif. He raised his hands. If you'd like to open the mic, please go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to ask about, can we use it for writing research statement and personal statement, diversity statement, and etc.?
Yeah, sure. You can use Corpus Linguistics, whatever purpose you have. But again, you need to be very specific when it comes to using Corpus Linguistics. Why? Because when we say Corpus Linguistics is a general term, it has so many aspects and features underneath this big umbrella. So here you need to be specific. You have, for example, a different corpora, and you can use one of these corpora that fulfills your needs.
Iman is asking, can I take the same sentence?
What do you mean by take the same sentence?
And put it in my research. I think she might be asking that if she likes an expression or a sentence in the corpus, she can use that in her own writing. Would that be considered as plagiarism or not?
Not plagiarism per se, because phrases and collocations, lexical bundles are not considered among plagiarism. We'll have, inshallah, a lecture about editing and revising of plagiarism, but generally speaking, no, because phrases. Some journals look at up to 5 straight words, like to count, or 7 to count as plagiarism. Some will look at the phrase itself, if it is plagiarism or not. But generally speaking, no. No.
Thank you, Dr. Basim. We have Ustad Abdullah has raised his hand. So if you'd like to open the mic, Ustad Abdullah.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام.
المحاضرة هذه متى بتنزل في القناة عشان أشوفها مرة ثانية لأن تأخرت ساعة.
Allah, inshallah, within 24 hours, 48 hours, it depends. I don't know. What do you think, Dr. Rawan?
إن شاء الله.
Hopefully, inshallah, within 24 hours, yes.
يعطيكم العافية.
وإياك إن شاء الله.
Are all these corpora academic papers? Not all of them. Some of them are academic, some of them are non-academic. Fiction, stories, news, operas, shows, different corpora, different types. Thank you, Optimist.
Is it part of cow? Ustad Muhammad.
Is it part of cow? I'll try to. You mean computer assisted language learning? I can't see the question.
He says yes.
Yes, I guess yes. It is considered a part of CAL because we use computational linguistics, especially for those who do programming and programming tools. So it is, I would say yes, since we call it computer assisted language learning and we use computer to analyze. So then I would consider it as a part of CAL.
Thank you, Dr. Basim. We have Mr. Rayyan Al-Anizi. Would you like to open the mic?
Hello, Doctor.
Hi.
Is there any course for future about speaking?
Courses about or workshops about speaking?
Yes.
Well, maybe we'll see, but in this semester, no, but we might have speaking workshops later on. I'll discuss this, inshallah, raise this to the administration of the AWC and see how we can sort this out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام.
الله يعطيك العافية دكتور. I have a question, please. I'm new to Corpus. This is the first time I take a lecture about it. In general, if I'm writing like a literature review,
Okay.
is that like other websites generally we know about, like Grammarly or something? How can exactly Corpus will help me instead of just searching the hits or the إني أشوف كل كلمة يعني لحالها ووزنها وكذا.
Okay, thank you for this question. So Grammarly here will help you in correcting your grammar, correcting spelling, correcting some phrases. But some phrases, when you use these phrases and out of the context, for example, let's say Microsoft Word, you can just right click in any word and you'll see synonyms, right? So
Yes.
are these synonyms acceptable in your field or not? You cannot know unless if you look at papers or let's say corpus in your field. This is easy if you just, and I made this mistake long time ago. And my professor told me don't count on or don't rely on Microsoft Word just to choose whatever synonyms you want, whatever antonyms, even dictionary. Go ahead, look at the word in context. You cannot, you need to contextualize the word in the context. Other than that, it's difficult. Sometimes it could be readable, but if you give this to someone who is in your field, he would say, okay, this term is not common in our field, so you need to change it. And again, if you use linking words, for example, though, although, there is a difference between though and although, and in spite of. So you need to know why and how to use this. You can read books. These books are were designed based on the corpus. What you see now in let's say, for example, word list, vocabulary, all of them were designed based on corpus-based study. So I would say yes. I personally use in my writing, when I write my literature review, I try to use different terms or different terminologies or different phrases. I go back to one of these websites, I put this, I'll see whether it is in humanities or not, whether it is in my field, applied linguistics or not. So this is my advice. It's not just a word, it's not just a vocabulary that you add here or search. It's more than that. You can search for data, you can search for genres, you can search for lexicals. So yeah, Grammarly is good, but it's not that good comparing to the data that you have here. And don't forget, you need to subscribe. So you have to pay, but here you have free tool.
طيب تمام دكتور، الله يعطيك العافية يا رب. شكرا.
ثانك يو دكتور باسم، الله يديك ألف صحة وعافية. عندنا منى بتسأل إذا في دورات للمبتدئ باللغة الإنجليزية في مركز الكتابة طبعا.
والله عندنا احنا الدورات موجودة إن شاء الله. حنبدأ من بدينا احنا من اليوم، لكن تعتبر أدفانس اليوم وبكرة، لكن من الأسبوع الجاي حيكون عندنا أتوقع إنه الجدول ممكن نطلع. لكن إذا كان دورات متخصصة ممكن نوعا ما، يعني إذا كان الطالب مثلا المدرس عمل له ريفيرال للرايتنج سنتر أو وجهه للرايتنج سنتر، ممكن يكون يعني يحجز موعد في البوكينج سيستم. طبعا الجميع اعتقد يعرف البوكينج سيستم، تقدر تحجز موعد مع واحد مع الرايتنج سبيشالست that we have here. تحجز موعد، تجلس معاه نص ساعة، تشرح له إيش المشاكل اللي عندك. طبعا شطر الطلاب وشطر الطالبات، تجلس معاه تشرح له عن المشاكل، تجيب له حاجة مكتوبة يجلس معاك يدقق فيها، مش يصحح لك. الفكرة ما هي تصحيح البرودكت حقك، الفكرة هي إنه يحاول يطور من كتابتك. أنا بتكلم عن الكتابة speaking والأشياء الثانية this is something else، ممكن إن شاء الله مستقبلا يكون موجودة. لكن في الوقت الحالي عندك مشكلة في الرايتنج، تيجي في البوكينج سيستم KAU my WC online. Yes, thank you brother Kamal. KAU.mywconline.com. Go there, book an appointment with one of our writing specialists, and then we will be happy to help you. Anyone تجلس معاه مدة نص ساعة، تبغى تكرر الموعد، حسيت أن الموعد ما unfortunately this is only for KAU, I mean this website. تجلس معاه نص ساعة، عندك إلى 4 مرات في الأسبوع تجيب كتابة. الأفضل أنك تكتب حاجة وتجيبها للمركز وتقول له والله أنا هذه كتابتي، إيش رأيك فيها؟ إيش بتشوف فيها؟ وهنا يبدأ معك على المشاكل. يعني ما شاء الله عندنا ناس جراد وأندر جراد، يعني طلاب بكالوريوس وطلاب ماجستير مستمرين سنة تقريبا. ما شاء الله الكتابة حقتهم تطورت كثير. ليش؟ بسبب إنه يعرف إنه هنا أنا وصلت المرحلة دي عندي مشاكل. هيجلس معاه مختص عندنا في المركز، يجلس معاه يطور معاه، يصحح له الأخطاء. الخطأ مش الجرامر، الخطأ في المعرفة، يضيف للمعرفة حقته. إنه مثلا لا، أنت لما تكتب مثلا شيء في الباست تحطه في الباست، عندك مشكلة في الإي دي ممكن تتعلم القواعد والأشياء دي. فأشياء كثيرة ما بيقدمها المركز، وهذا الموقع حقنا. ثانك يو دكتور روان. هذا الموقع المجال مفتوح طبعا، الخدمات كلها الكي اي يو، الورك شوبس حتى من برا الجامعه are welcome to attend. بس الموقع حق الاستشارات هذا مده نص ساعه، هذا لطلاب الجامعه واعضاء التدريس والمنتسبين للجامعه كلها. في عندنا ثيسيس كوتش، هذا حق الدراسات العليا مدته ساعه، وعندنا التوترينج حق الاندر جراد. كل الطلاب، نعم كل الطلاب في أي تخصص عندك استفسار في اللغة الإنجليزية بالرايتنج فقط، تيجي للموقع تحجز موعد وتحضر الأونلاين. طبعا حاليا أونلاين، كل السيرفيسز أونلاين. later on إن شاء الله ممكن نرجع للكامبس إن شاء الله بالسلامة بحول الله. Yes, even grad students. عندنا thesis coach موجود للطلاب والموظفين، نعم للجميع. يا
وجدان.
كمان. okay, so الدورات workshops you are welcome to join us. لأنه التسجيل في الموقع حق الاستشارات يتطلب إيميل الجامعة، يعني ما تقدر تسجل في الموقع إلا باستخدام إيميل الجامعة at kau.edu.sa أو at stu.kau.edu.sa.
الله يعطيك العافية دكتور باسم. أتوقع كده ما شاء الله تبارك الرحمن we don't have any more questions. ما شاء الله تبارك الرحمن كانت الوركشوب جدا مفيدة ومثمرة، وأتمنى أن الكل يكون إن شاء الله استفاد. شيء أحب أنبهكم عليه الله يرضى عليكم. in order to receive a certificate، إذا حابين تجيكم شهادة لحضور الوركشوب، نتمنى منكم إنكم تسجلوا في الجوجل فورم، the evaluation form، عشان يكون عندنا إيميلاتكم ومعلوماتكم الشخصية عشان نحطها in the certificate. If you do not do the evaluation form, you will not receive a certificate. Another thing, the evaluation form is راح يكفل في خلال 10 minutes. So if you haven't done so, نتمنى منكم إن أنتم خلاص that you actually do it. When will you receive it?
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
When will you receive it؟ إذا ما خاب ظني in 24 hours. صحيح دكتور باسم؟
إن شاء الله.
إن شاء الله. I'm sorry. طيب. Thank you so much. يعطيكم ألف عافية.
شكرا دكتورة روان، شكرا للجميع على الحضور، وإن شاء الله سنة بإذن الله موفقة للجميع، و hope to see you إن شاء الله in the writing center إن شاء الله.
إن شاء الله.